I feel like as a kid growing up in the 2000s, Air Bud was something I knew about without really ever having seen the movie. I think 2000s kids are born with a genetic memory that tells you this dog played basketball and they let him play basketball because the rules don't say that dogs can't play basketball. But aside from the entire plot, I didn't know anything about Air Bud, and I can't go my whole life not knowing what the hell happens in this movie. Here's a fact I didn't know until I started making this video. They made 5 Air Bud movies. You've got Air Bud, Air Bud Golden Retriever, Air Bud World Pup, and then you get to Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch? How does the raccoon get involved in the antics? I don't know, but I desperately need to find out. He's not on the cover of the 5th movie, Air Bud Spikes Back, so I can only assume that this raccoon is introduced and then killed within the course of one baseball game. But we haven't gotten there yet. Today we're looking at the masterpiece that started it all, and I couldn't go it alone, so I recruited my wife to watch this with me.
Should I give Smokey another Cheez-It?
This movie starts with the most terrifying visual possible, a giant clown head coming over the horizon, and we're introduced to our villain, Norm Snively. If you name your kid Norm Snively, you're basically predestinating him to become the villain of a Disney movie. I looked up his page on the Air Bud wiki, the source of all human knowledge, and it's absolutely scorching. Snively is an alcoholic. He knew nothing about Buddy and only used him to boost his own fame. You sort of scroll down past this list of atrocities and then you see, which may suggest he was sent to prison. I'm a little bit scared to see what Norm gets up to in this movie. Norm is a clown who performs at birthday parties, which, by the way, I feel like is the most terrifying birthday activity you could possibly plan for your child. Accompanying Norm to this party is his golden retriever, who he aggressively abuses, which is not great. Also, as soon as we found out he was a clown, Kristen found it necessary to explain to me what clown eggs are, which is now something that I can't unlearn.
Every registered clown has to have their own signature makeup. So when you become a registered clown, they paint your clown makeup onto an egg, and it is then displayed in a museum. Hang on. Yeah, so basically these are what clown eggs look like.
So why did they feel the need to make like a registered clown database? Was this like a problem with like clowns stealing each other's looks?
I have to notice there's only like one black clown. Maybe it's because only white people are stupid enough to want to be clown.
Anyways, Norm is very bad at being a clown. He can't juggle. He can't make balloon animals. He can't walk.
Pick a card. Any card.
What the fuck? Anyways, things are going really bad, so he brings out his dog to do some tricks, which is a good idea because the kids are loving it, but then things kind of get out of hand.
And now for the grand finale, kids!
The clown is gonna wreck the entire party to do what? Tackle the dog? Why was there a banana on the couch?
The cake!
So suffice it to say the mom is not thrilled.
Did the mom throw him out? Like physically?
Anyways, Norm has a psychotic break in this woman's front yard and then decides it's actually all the dog's fault. So he decides to drive as recklessly as possible to the pound.
I love how this beloved children's movie starts with horrible animal abuse. Oh. So he just slid.
So he didn't tumble end over end for like 400 feet.
So yeah, this light-hearted family movie starts with a defenseless dog being locked in a box in the middle of the road, almost gets hit by a semi-truck, actually gets hit by a car.
Okay, so the dog died.
Oh my god. Oh my. You okay? You okay, sweetie? You okay?
But wait, while the mom is understandably freaking out about the kennel that she just ran over, this bull-headed boy shares a tender moment with this strangely dressed dog.
Dog's wearing a clown suit.
What the fuck? That's weird, right? Everyone else sees this?
Bull-headed kid's name is Josh, no relation, and he's moving to a new town because he's the protagonist of a kid's movie from the 1990s.
Kids are always moving in movies.
Yeah, they gotta. That's how they make him do all the stuff.
Well, they obviously just moved because his dad died. Or got divorced, maybe?
Killed
There's-
by dogs?
there's no-
That would be a fun thematic connection.
It's true. Well, there's no dad, so.
How do you know there's no dad?
Because he wasn't in that shot or in the car?
Maybe he's, like, busy.
No.
Oh, no, he's dead.
We learn that Josh is still pretty sad about his dad dying, and now he's gonna have to try to make some new friends at this new school.
Not that he's not friendly. It's just, well, he doesn't talk much these days. You see, when his dad passed away last year.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. It's been difficult.
He kind of looks like a Lego minifigure.
It's his posture.
Yeah.
We also found out that he used to love playing basketball with his dad, but he's kind of lost interest since his dad died. On his way home from school, Josh stumbles across an abandoned church, which I guess is a thing that 90s kids can stumble across in the middle of the wilderness in between their school and house.
Eek and ye shall fin.
We come.
And behind this abandoned church is an old basketball court, conveniently. So Josh hops over the fence and takes out the basketball that he's been carrying around that barely fits in his backpack. I guess all this kid took to or from school was a basketball? Oh boy, I can't wait to see what Mom packed me for lunch today. Oh, it's an entire basketball. I had that last week. But he loses his ball, and then he hears some weird sounds coming from the bushes.
The fuck? Who just threw this basketball? Who's back there making dog sounds?
It's just it's the clown.
Oh shit!
We get introduced to Josh's mom, and I gotta say, I really feel for her. She always looks so frantic, trying to take care of all these kids and do her job at the same time, and then her son is just off in the woods discovering basketball dogs, which can't make matters any easier. She's under a lot of pressure, is all I'm saying. Josh goes back to school the next day for basketball tryouts, where he meets some stereotypical middle school bullies and a stereotypical basketball coach.
Now, you're here today to try out for the school's finest tradition, basketball.
Basketball.
Josh doesn't actually participate in the tryout because he gets nervous, and then the coach is just like, hey, kid I've never seen before, I need a manager for this basketball team. You want to do that? You know anything about doing that? No? Okay, I'll see you on Friday. The only place Josh feels like he can actually play basketball is at the abandoned church, where he tries to lure out the mysterious bush creature.
Whistle at him like he's a dog.
That's a homeless man down there.
Turns out, and you're never gonna believe this, it's actually a dog.
You're gonna feed the dog applesauce?
I thought that was a tin of honey mustard.
I'm pretty sure it's pudding. I don't think any company is making cup-sized containers of honey mustard for children to take to school. At least I hope not. Anyways, this one cup of pudding is not a sufficient sacrifice to lure in the dog, so he runs away. We then cut back to Josh's house where his mom is having a rough time. She's talking on the phone while trying to cook, and then she has to take a second phone call, and to top it all off, Josh won't eat his goddamn SpaghettiOs.
Josh, would you eat something, please?
She is
She's
so
always like,
busy.
she's always moving so fast.
The reason for Josh's SpaghettiO reluctance is because his mind is back at the basketball court. He starts cleaning it up and he leaves a Hansel and Gretel trail of pudding cups to hopefully lure in the dog again. Anyways, there's actually a really nice shot where Josh tears this fence down and then there's like an entire Windows XP screensaver behind it.
Oh,
Okay, that's
shit.
kind of sick.
Anyways, the dog comes back. One pudding cup was not enough to win his fickle heart, but 10 pudding cups? That'll work.
I think that dog is gonna have diarrhea.
Or throw up.
Josh quickly realizes, wait, this dog likes basketball.
You like basketball?
I honestly love how they set this up. He like holds the ball up like he knows the dog can play basketball. But then just to be sure, he says, hey, You like basketball? Also, I definitely feel for Josh's mom. I know she's very busy, but lady, your son is just like wandering around in the woods, stepping on rusty nails and playing basketball with a feral dog. I know you've probably got 4 business calls that you're taking all at the same time, but one of those calls is actually the police calling to let you know that your son has been mauled to death by a wild animal. So Josh's plan is to sneak this dog into his house somehow.
Oh, he's gotta be mischievous and stuff.
He's gonna try to hide an entire dog in his house? What are you gonna feed it? In a way that your mom is not gonna notice
Spaghetti.
that 6 cans of SpaghettiOs went missing.
Hey, Josh's mom. You're gonna have to add SpaghettiOs to the grocery list. Also, I know the dog was probably starving to death, but his most recent meals have been 11 cups of pudding and 6 cans of SpaghettiOs.
This dog is gonna shit the most vile things.
Anyways, Josh is trying to wash this dog and lures it into the bathtub with a basketball, the dog's one true love. And then he decides, fuck it, I'm going in.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath. About a Saturday night.
Okay, so why did you put on the raincoat?
And then jump into the bath.
Everything was alright.
Oh my god, he's drowning your dog.
Nobody's allowed to play basketball better than me, bitch.
There is, of course, a whimsical dog bathing scene set to that song Splish Splash I Was Taking a Bath. This song has always confused me because if you listen to the lyrics, it's about a man who is happily bathing in his own home, gets out of the bathtub, and then has to jump back in when he realizes that an entire party has been going on this whole time in his living room, and he has the gall to act surprised? Who invited these people if not you? If you didn't invite them, shouldn't bathing be like the least of your priorities right now? Also, how loudly are you bathing that you didn't hear this going on? Also, I can't help but feel that the title Splish Splash does not accurately convey the central theme of this song. The song should be called That Time I Showed My Dick to 8 Strangers, but that's probably harder to fit on an album cover. Josh's mom gets home and Josh goes to great lengths to make sure the dog doesn't get loose, by which I mean he leaves the dog in an open room and says, "Don't go anywhere."
Stay, buddy.
All the teens at the dancing bug.
Close the door, knucklehead.
Shockingly, this plan doesn't work, and the dog wrecks the entire house.
No!
Oh my god.
All the paint that was stacked on those ladders open.
There's something weird about the physics in this house. I think not only did they adopt a dog, they may have adopted a poltergeist as well.
They're covered with wallpaper paste.
Which was also open for some reason.
Josh's mom is not thrilled about the idea of keeping the dog, so Josh goes around putting up missing posters, but then he gets an idea.
I got an idea.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you in this dumpster.
His idea is to take this refrigerator box and make a home for the dog, who he's decided to call Buddy, which is great because now I can stop referring to him as the dog. His mom still doesn't want to keep Buddy, which is fair because she has to take care of 2 children and an entire house and also conduct several simultaneous business transactions over the phone. There's no room for a dog in there unless he wants to hop on a conference call.
No, I have way too much on my plate as it is.
I take care of him.
Josh, we don't know anything about this dog.
Okay, well, I don't understand that argument at all.
Well, if they don't know this dog, it could be like an aggressive dog.
I thought she meant, we don't know, like, you know, what he's into. He could be into drugs or something.
She does eventually cave and let Josh keep the dog until Christmas, provided that he keeps the dog outside.
And if you try to sneak him in here just once...
Mom, I swear.
Wait, how did the dog get inside? He like puts his paw around it.
We now cut back to basketball practice. Has the coach gotten any more coherent?
Stuart, don't try to be a hero. Your job on this team is to get the ball to Willingham.
What's the matter, water boy?
I guess the coach didn't see that?
Josh works as the manager for the basketball team, which leads him into what I can only describe as a basketball dungeon. And it's in this basketball dungeon that he meets Art, the kindly old janitor who used to play for the New York Knicks. Josh finds an old basketball card of Art and asks him to sign it.
Could you sign this?
You think this is me?
It isn't.
No, kid. That guy's dead.
The basketball side of me died when I was crippled in a terrible basketball injury.
I got hit with the basketball.
Feels like a weird thing to lie about if you're gonna do it this openly.
Nah, kid, I don't play basketball.
Now, excuse me, I gotta go play some basketball.
Okay, so then some kids quit the team, so the coach puts on like a private tryout, and Josh gets invited to the tryout, which leads to another interaction with the middle school bullies.
Don't even waste your time, water boy.
That is the longest shirt I've ever seen.
He's a little bit unsure of whether he's even going to go to the tryout at all because he's kind of nervous about it, but then at the basketball court, he makes an amazing discovery.
I don't believe this.
Seeing Air Bud play basketball really inspires Josh to go to the tryout, where he absolutely crushes it, and then the director decides we really need to see how the coach is feeling about this whole thing.
Yes. Yes.
Get closer.
He made the team, and now he kind of has a friend on the team. Or at the very least, this kid's bowl cut kind of resonates on the same frequency as Josh's.
This always brought me good luck. You should carry it tonight.
What a piece of dried mango.
This used to be a perfectly hydrated mango all the years ago when I started carrying it.
And of course, we can't go one scene without Josh getting bullied by the other players.
Water boy. Just stay out of my way.
They couldn't have found a kid who walked more like a stereotypical middle school bully.
Honestly, this bully kid's home life probably isn't great given how absolutely incoherent his dad is at the basketball game.
What? You make the baskets and they throw the foul!
Okay, but then somehow Air Bud figures out that Josh is at a basketball game and he manages to get inside the gym somehow.
How does this dog just keep entering buildings?
And once he gets in, it's fucking pandemonium as usual. Everywhere this dog goes, he leaves a fiery trail of chaos.
Did the mom just realize that the dog had entered the field?
The Gatorade!
Y'all gotta stop leaving open containers of shit.
The Gatorade was justified, I feel like.
How long is the basketball court? I feel like he's been running for like 2 minutes.
About the length of one football field.
Buddy, no!
So yeah, Air Bud shoots a basket, and everybody is understandably pretty impressed by this. And then in the middle of all the festivity after the basketball game, they walk into the dark gym, and the basketball coach is just hurling basketballs at one of the players.
You can do that. Just meet the ball. Catch. Just.
Oh my god. I think the coach is physically abusing this child.
So that coach gets fired, thank God, and Art becomes the new basketball coach. The old coach, he was a simple man.
Basketball.
Art is a lot more philosophical in his approach to basketball.
A ball is nothing but rubber and air, Larry.
Before they can even play basketball, they really have to ponder the question, what is basketball? So the team starts doing a lot better under Art's new coaching style, and at halftime now, Josh does like a show with Air Bud at every game.
Oh no!
He does eventually make the basket, but I do hope that his face was still intact by the time he got the hang of it. Anyways, the game goes on. The bully kid isn't really being a team player, so Art pulls him out and puts Josh in, and then with seconds to go, Josh gets the ball, and he has to make a tough choice. Take the shot or pass the ball.
Oh my god!
I bet Air Bud would have made that shot. Later on, Art comes in to talk to Josh about the game.
A lot easier when the pressure's off, isn't it?
Got a tasteful cable knit sweater on.
And he's like, you gotta be more like Air Bud, because Air Bud is a team player. But he is also a dog. Don't become a dog. That's not the lesson here.
See that dog?
The basketball team starts going on an absolute tear, so much so that they consistently make the front page of the newspaper. How uneventful is shit in your town that the middle school basketball team is front page news? Are murders just not happening anymore? Josh and Air Bud also continue to perform at halftime during every game.
Why is that ball so wet?
Dog peed on it.
Josh's team does so well that they actually end up in the state final, but before that game can happen, Norm, the clown from earlier, I don't know if you remember, sees Air Bud on TV and then comes to reclaim him from Josh. Josh does not take kindly to this, and on the day of the state final, he sneaks into Norm's backyard to set Air Bud free. This does not go unnoticed, and Norm runs out with the intent of killing this child, but ends up slipping and sliding on some mud in his backyard. They really milked a lot of slapstick comedy out of this unhinged animal abuser. So then Norm does what any reasonable person would do, which is get in his car and drive through a populated area to try to kill this child and his dog.
He's gonna kill his kid.
It is implied that he went to prison.
Eventually, they manage to trick Norm into driving his car into a lake, and then Josh takes Air Bud to this island across a river because now they kind of have a problem. If Air Bud comes back home with Josh, then Norm will know exactly where to go to come get Air Bud again. So Josh has to like set him free into the wild so he won't get picked back up by Norm, and he tricks Air Bud by throwing a basketball and then running in the opposite direction and getting on a boat and leaving him on the island. And Air Bud is like swimming after Josh as he's riding away on this boat. What the fuck? This is legitimately emotional. Like 5 minutes ago, we were just having a grand old time, and now it's like fucking Old Yeller out here. Except he doesn't shoot Air Bud with a gun. Not in this movie anyway. I guess we'll have to see what happens on the volleyball court. And then there's this absolutely jarring cut from that heartbreaking scene back to some good old-fashioned basketball.
Basketball time.
I don't want to play basketball.
Yeah, they saying let's go ball.
So the team is getting their pregame pump up in the locker room.
You know, they say a team is a community, which means when one boy gets the chicken pox...
This kid's bulk up. Holy shit.
But Josh finds out that the bully kid actually changed teams and is playing against him tonight, because I guess you can just do that.
Going down tonight, water boy.
Larry plays for the Warriors now?
Yeah, Hawks just told me. Larry's dad moved the whole family to Spokane just so he could play for the Warriors.
Wait, did he say that they moved their whole family to a different town so his kid could play for that team?
Holy shit.
Honestly, it's barely surprising that the bully kid's dad moved their entire family, because this dude seems really fucking invested in middle school basketball.
Come on now, that's it. Show 'em how it's done, boy.
Show 'em how it's done, boy.
So the other team is kind of smoking Josh's team when the worst possible thing happens.
Injury, timeout.
Injury.
Come on, guys, help him out. You okay?
Oh, my pancreas, I think it's fucked.
It didn't look like it hurt that bad. They fell to the ground very gently.
Yeah, so now they only have 4 players, and they're like, well, I guess we'll just play with 4 players. When all of a sudden...
Here he comes. How did he get across that river?
So yeah, they decide to sub in a dog onto their basketball team, and the refs are cool with it because, as you know...
You check in your rule book, but you won't find anything in there that says a dog can't play.
Now entering the game, new player, K9.
Is this allowed?
Ref, I got an idea. What if the dog plays basketball?
Yeah, okay, make sure we get him some shoes and a jersey. We gotta pause the game.
Hey, go down to the closet, we keep the dog shoes in.
I know this is a lighthearted and whimsical children's movie from the 1990s, and I do feel a little bit silly critiquing it this analytically, but I feel like the rules don't say you're not allowed to do it leaves open a lot of things that probably shouldn't be allowed in basketball.
You won't find no rule says I can't shoot that guy with a gun.
The rules don't say I'm not allowed to inject the other players with E. coli. The rules don't say I can't hold the families of the opposing team hostage. I mean, fuck it, if we're only going off of what the rules don't say, why stop at a dog? I want a fully grown rhinoceros on my basketball team. The rules don't say anything about him goring the other players and then trampling them to death. This is what trampling looks like. I also think he would be at least a little bit harder to guard than a golden retriever. Also, I think the reason a dog shouldn't be allowed to play in a basketball game is because he would definitely get the shit kicked out of him. Not even on purpose. Like someone rushes in for a layup and when the crowd disperses, the dog is just a smooth paste under the hoop. The crowd, however, does not share any of my reservations about Air Bud joining the basketball game.
I mean, granted, if you're the audience at this point, this has got to be the most entertaining children's basketball game.
Oh, shit, he was hyped.
Come on, you ready? Here we go.
What happened to that kid? Oh, fuck, there's a dog here.
And so begins the miraculous comeback. I really feel for the other team in this situation. Like, imagine throwing a basketball game this hard.
Bro, we're about to get beat by a dog.
Dude, it would be so embarrassing to be on that.
But at the same time, I can't feel too bad about it because both the opposing coach and the bully kid's dad are validly pointing out nobody is guarding this dog.
They pause the game, his mother joins their roster.
It doesn't say mothers can't play.
Air Bud gets fouled by the bully kid and somehow all of his bones are still intact. And he actually makes both of his free throws, which puts Josh's team only 2 points behind. And Josh gets the ball with 5 seconds on the clock, just like he did in that last game where he completely missed. And there's even an equally terrifying child sprinting right at him.
Yeah, I thought the point of that whole thing was that he was going to learn to pass the ball. And also the shot of Air Bud was very weird in that instance also.
Well, I guess Air Bud inspired him to play basketball.
So they win and everybody is going apeshit, which honestly, that's fair. They did just witness a dog lead like a 20-point comeback.
I think even the
there were 2 women hiding the finish.
They were overjoyed to have seen Air Bud.
Nice shot.
Lost to a dog. I moved cities for this.
But the fun's not over yet, because good old Norm Snively shows up at the basketball game looking to get his dog back. Except the ownership papers for Air Bud got all mushy when he killed those pedestrians. I mean, crashed his car. And he's like, I'll see you in court. And then they actually go to court. Norm rolls up in the absolute sickest court outfit I have ever seen.
Who the hell are you? Mr. Norman F. Snively, Your Honor. I'm the plaintiff.
If I wear a clown costume to my court hearing, am I good?
I frankly would support a law or like a rule of civil procedure where if the judge determines that your case is frivolous enough, you have to wear a clown costume to your court hearing. So the judge is like, what the hell is going on here and what am I supposed to do about this? Which are both valid questions. And then Art shows up and he's like, excuse me, Your Honor, famous basketballman here, and I suggest we let the dog decide who he wants to go with. And the judge is like, fuck, it sounds good to me. There's like 4 minutes left in this movie. Just do whatever you want. So then they go outside and the way they're gonna figure this out is Josh and Norm just stand on opposite sides of Air Bud and yell at him, and he runs towards Josh, and now Josh owns him.
Will somebody suppress that crowd?
I'm definitely adding that phrase to my vernacular.
Oh my god.
And it is implied that he went to jail.
I guess so.
So yeah, that's Air Bud. Honestly, this movie really just left me with questions about how they made 4 more of these.
I am curious how they're gonna tie in sports, the other sports, into the movies, because he had an emotional tie to basketball with his dad. But is he gonna have another dead dad?
Yeah.
Or is his,
this reminds me of my dead uncle that I used to play football
or
with.
is he gonna play? Maybe his mom is gonna die, and there are gonna be flashbacks to when they used to play football together.
Who's he gonna be staying with? Air Bud.
Air Bud.
in the court scene in the second one, Air Bud gets custody of him.
Thanks for watching this movie with us. If you like this video or you want to see me talk about the rest of these movies, please let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. I don't just make videos about Air Bud, although that is what this channel should be. I also talk about other movies and video games and TV shows and other things that I'm interested in, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, subscribe. And I will see you next time.